Hi, this is Amy Romeo from the jewelry making and craft blog amyromeo.com, and on this channel I like to share fun and easy jewelry making and craft projects. Today in this video I'll be showing you how to make faux leather earrings using the Cricut Joy Xtra machine. You may not think that this machine can cut faux leather, but it can, and I'll show you exactly how to do it in this video. I'll also have the SVGs that I use free for you, and in just a moment I'll let you know how you can go ahead and grab those. But if you're ready to get started, let's dive right in. So let's start briefly by talking about the Cricut Joy Xtra and why it's able to cut faux leather. And I'm happy to report that it cuts it very well. I made these little earrings a little earlier today, and I'll have this SVG for you. I'll let you know how you can grab this in just a moment. But the Joy Xtra can cut faux leather because it has the standard fine point blade that comes with all of the other current Cricut machines. It's a common misconception that you need to have a special blade, like the knife blade, to cut faux leather. You don't, so this machine is going to cut the faux leather very nicely for you. However, there are a couple important distinctions between cutting faux leather on the Joy Xtra and cutting faux leather on some of the other Cricut machines that I'll talk you through during the course of this video. But the first major difference is you won't be able to use the 12 by 12 size mats that the larger machines use. You will need a special Joy Xtra size mat. This one is 8.5 by 12. And I purchased my machine separately. It did not include a mat. So if you're purchasing a bundle, the bundle may have a mat. You'll want to check for that. If not, be sure to purchase it separately so you can use your Joy Xtra when it arrives. I'll have links to all of these items in the description for you. So this is a green mat, and you'll notice here I have a purple strong grip mat for my maker. And this is the mat that I use to cut faux leather generally. However, just like the original Joy, the Joy Xtra at the time of this recording does not have a purple strong grip mat, and that's okay. You can cut faux leather using the green standard grip mat that comes with the Joy Xtra. Don't worry about that. So some of the other things that we'll be using is faux leather, and faux leather comes in sheets and on rolls. There's so many beautiful prints and patterns. I buy a lot of my faux leather on Amazon and on Etsy, and I'll link to where I found all these pretty prints. Some other materials we'll be using to make faux leather earrings with our Cricut Joy Xtra is some blue painter's tape. This will help us tape our faux leather down to the mat to get a good cut. We'll use some craft scissors. I also like to have a small pair of curved scissors or something like embroidery scissors to trim up the edges of the faux leather if there's any little fuzzies. That's a nice way to trim. And I'll also use 2 pair of jewelry making pliers to attach my 6mm jump rings to my earring hooks. And I'll just show you using regular shepherd earring hooks, and then these are 6mm jump rings. Finally, you will want a weeding tool, and this is going to help us lift up the edge of the faux leather after it cuts to see if it cut all the way through. The Joy Xtra comes with its own cute little weeding tool, which you can use, or you can use a regular Cricut weeding hook. So let me show you how to get the SVG files for this project sent over to you via email, and then we'll go ahead and start making our earrings. So to get the SVGs for this project, you'll want to visit amyromeo.com/design210, and you'll arrive at this page, and here you'll just enter your first name, your best email address, and then you'll click Get the Freebie. You'll receive an email with a download button, and you'll click on the download button and you will save the zipped folder that downloads to your device. You'll need to unzip that folder before you can upload the earring SVG into Cricut Design Space. So I'm starting with a blank canvas in Cricut Design Space, and the first thing you want to do is confirm that the Joy Xtra is your selected machine. And that's because the Joy Xtra has that special size mat, and Design Space needs to place your shapes on the correct size mat for your project. So next we're going to click on Upload, and then Upload Image, and you're going to browse to where that unzipped SVG file is for this project. When you find it, you'll click on it to select it and click Open. You'll see a preview of your shapes, and then you'll click Upload. Your shapes will appear here in your Recent Uploads row. Click on it to select it, and then click Add to Canvas. And our shapes will appear here. I don't recommend resizing them, especially if you're brand new to making earrings, because I have sized them appropriately for earrings. But if you did want to resize these, just note that that will also change the size of the pre-cut earring holes. So you will want to go watch another YouTube video I have all about earring holes so that you can adjust those hole sizes and you'll still be able to cut your earrings successfully. I'll link to that video for you. So I'm not going to change the colors of the design. It really doesn't matter what colors these shapes are since we're cutting from whatever faux leather we put on the mat, and we're not resizing them. So all we need to do is press the Make It button. I'm cutting the faux leather on a mat. And here you can see the little Joy Xtra size mat. That means we have our machine selected correctly. So the first thing I want to do is click on mirror on both of these mats, and that's because faux leather cuts in reverse or face down. And then what I want to do is just drag the shapes apart from each other a little bit and also apart from the edges of the mat. And that's because we'll be using some blue painter's tape to tape the faux leather down to help us get good cuts. I'm also making a note of what size faux leather I want to place down on the mat. I like to trim the faux leather to a size just slightly larger than the shapes that we'll cut, and that's going to help me keep the faux leather on the mat securely and help the Cricut cut the material cleanly. So I've done that for that one, and I'll just repeat that process here. So here I'll be using a piece of faux leather about 5 inches wide and 2 inches tall, and it's a similar size here on this mat. I'll click back on the first mat and then we'll click continue. And now we're at the material selection screen. And if you've watched any of my other videos, you know that normally I use the faux leather paper thin setting, and I'm able to click on browse all materials and search for it. And I'm able to use that setting across all of the Explorer machines and the Maker machines, even the original Cricut Joy. Well, at the time I'm making this recording, the Joy Xtra does not have a faux leather setting. Let me show you. So if I click on browse all materials and I type the word faux and I search for it, it says no results found. But I don't want you to worry. That doesn't mean that the machine cannot cut it. It just means that we need to create a custom material setting. So what I did earlier was I turned on my Maker machine, I connected it to Design Space, and I went into the material settings for faux leather paper thin, which is the desired setting on the other machines, and we're going to recreate that setting here. So the way we do that is we click on material settings, and here we can see all of the different material settings that are set up for the Joy Xtra. You'll see the material name, the cut pressure, multi-cut means does the cut repeat, and then what blade is used. So if we scroll down, we can also check in the F's, there's no faux leather, but that's okay, just keep scrolling. And it is possible that when you're watching this video in the future that they will add the setting. I'm not sure. If they have added the setting, just choose faux leather paper thin as your setting and you'll use more pressure. But I'm going to show you how to add it now. So let's click add new material and we're going to name our material. So I'm just going to call it faux leather and save. And now we're going to enter those cut settings that I noted on the Maker. So on the Maker, the cut pressure is 300. So we'll just drag our little slider. Here we go. There we go. And on the Maker and the Explorer machines, the faux leather paper thin setting is a double cut. So that means it cuts 2 times. We'll also be using the regular fine point blade. So before I hit save, I want to mention another important distinction between the Joy Xtra and the other machines. So usually when I cut faux leather, the machine will cut 1 time using this faux leather setting. It's an automatic double cut, but at some point the machine stops. Before I unload the machine, I check the cut. And then if I need to, I can rerun the cut. So on the Maker and the Explorer machines, I can press the cut button as long as I haven't unloaded the mat. On the original Cricut Joy, you can select rerun on the screen in Design Space to rerun the cut. Again, I just bought the Joy Xtra. It's possible they will add the rerun feature, but at the time I'm making this video, I didn't see a rerun button, which means I don't have the ability to repeat the cut, which is very important when cutting faux leather. So I'm actually going to recommend that instead of just doing a double cut, we're going to make this a triple cut. Again, if you're watching this in the future and you have the faux leather paper thin setting and you have the rerun button, then that's all you'll need to do. Choose the faux leather paper thin and rerun if necessary. However, because this machine is brand new, I'm going to make this a triple cut just to be safe. So we'll click save. And now we can see here my custom setting called faux leather. If I needed to edit it, I could. So let's say you start cutting some faux leather with your Cricut Joy Xtra and you find that three times of a cut is not enough. You want to make it 4. You would just click on edit. Let's say you find that 3 times is too much and your material is always cutting cleanly in less time than the 3rd cut. Again, you can edit it and make it shorter. Okay, so we've created our custom setting. Now when I click on Browse All Materials, there it is. I'm going to go ahead and bookmark it so it's there as a favorite. I'll also click on it to select it and then click Done. Okay, so here we're going to choose more pressure. It doesn't matter what machine you use to cut faux leather with, I always recommend more pressure. And again, the reminder that we're using the fine point blade. And we're going to load the mat into the machine. So let's go ahead and hop over to my overhead camera and we'll get our faux leather mats cut out and our earrings assembled. So I've already trimmed my faux leather down to that size I noted in the mat preview screen. I'm just going to place this pretty side down on my mat. And you'll notice that I don't have anything on the back of my faux leather. Now, generally I put a back on. There's actually a couple different ways to put a back on faux leather earrings, but because I don't want this video to get too long, I do have a separate video on 4 different ways to put a back on faux leather earrings, and I'll link to that for you. So here I'm just applying some blue painter's tape, taping the material down on all sides, and this tape can be reused several times. I use blue painter's tape because masking tape can leave a residue on your faux leather and on your mat. So once we have this in position, we're just going to load this into the Joy Xtra. It's important to use 2 hands to get the mat going in the right direction. And we'll need to press the Go button on the screen in Design Space to begin the cut. So the cut is complete, and normally when I'm making faux leather earrings and I'm teaching, I recommend before unloading the mat, just using a sharp weeding tool, picking up an edge of the cut and seeing if it went all the way through. And normally you can rerun the cut if necessary, as I mentioned earlier. But the only option I have on Design Space on my screen is unload. So that's why we changed that cut setting to a triple cut, and it does look good. If when we remove these shapes, we see that the cuts have gone into the mat a little bit, then we can always back that down from a triple cut to a double cut. So I'll go ahead and unload the mat. And let's take a look at how these shapes cut out. And that looks really good. Nice clean cuts. And let's check these little smaller cuts as well. Now these, as I mentioned, have the pre-cut hole, so I'll just use my sharp weeding tool, try and poke out the hole. If you have a really good quality faux leather like this one, that hole usually pops out really nicely, and if not, remember, we can use that 1/16 inch hole punch if necessary. So these holes came out nicely, but again, we can just punch if we need to. The nice thing is, even if the Cricut didn't cut the hole all the way through, we have a little location spot where it tried to make the cut, and that's where we can punch. So now that all of our shapes are done on the first mat, we'll repeat the cut with the second mat. Again, we're using the cut setting of faux leather paper thin with more pressure. So the cut is complete. I'll unload the machine. And we'll take a look at these shapes. And again, that turned out really nicely. So again, I'll just punch out those holes. This is a good time to see if there's any little fuzzies on the edges that you want to trim with your curved scissors. But I think these look great. So the earring hooks that I'm using are just traditional shepherd's hooks, but what I do need to do is turn this bottom loop so that my earrings will hang straight. I have a whole video about this that I will link to for you if you want to see me do this in more detail, but basically I'm just using my pliers, turning that bottom loop 90 degrees, and that will help the earrings hang straight. So I've already done that for all of my earrings, and then I just need my 6mm jump rings. And I'm going to use my 2 pair of pliers just to open up that jump ring. Attach my earring shape, the bottom one to the top one. I'll just close that right back up again. And then I'll use 1 more jump ring to attach the earrings to the earring hook. So let me show you how to do the tab one, the tab and loop. So this one I want to open the jump ring first. I'm going to thread the tab through the loop, put the 2 little tops of the tab up so the little earring holes line up, and then just put my jump ring through. Attach the earring hook, and then close it right back up again. And there we have it. Our faux leather earrings made with the Cricut Joy Xtra are complete. I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you have the Cricut Joy Xtra, I hope you're going to try cutting some faux leather to make some earrings and some other faux leather crafts with it. Remember, you can head over to my blog at amyromeo.com/design210, and I'll send over the SVGs we used in this project to your email address instantly. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.